ready to start?
Hello and welcome to Raider HQ After Dark. Can everybody hear me? I'm your host, Raider. I'm your host, Raider. I'm your host, Raider. And today, this is a short notice Raider HQ news alert. Thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to come here. We have some pressing news, my friends. Pressing news. So tonight on this live stream, we are going to not be asking too many questions. We are going to be discussing some M21-1 drops that have happened. How much does VA hate sleep? Okay, yeah, fine. Sorry, the comment section does distract me, so I got to stay focused here. So let me go ahead. I'm going to share my screen. There's going to be a little bit of technical issues here just because I've got to stop and start sharing screens and whatnot. So we're going to do that. Changes by date. There we go. So let me just go here. I'm going to go here. We're going to see as of today, we have had some major updates. Okay. Let's go for M21-1. It's what the cool kids love. So the first one here, updating to replace guidance about responding to a premature legacy notice. Not really the sizzle for me. What I do find to be the sizzle are these two right here. So these two right here are updated guidance based upon the PACT Act. So how the VA is actually putting veteran-facing how TERA and how exposures are supposed to be done. So there are no changes to fatty liver, Chevy bow tie. And I'm coming for you. You fatty liver people, man. You know what gets me. What gets in my armor. So, okay, so these are two things we're going to be going over tonight. They have actually got a new classification for TERA, guys. It's right here. It's environmental or military occupational hazards, EMOHs. And I'm going to say I've kind of cheated and went and looked at them a little bit before we went through this, okay? And I'm not going to be answering too many questions, so if you guys post a question, I might not get to it. But oh gosh, you don't want to hear about Waco. I don't have good things to say about Waco. But this is important, guys, because I'm going to tell you right now, a little bluff, bottom line up front. These are potentially good things for veterans because they have conceded specific exposures in locations like Japan. So now they aren't presumptive. Now, this is something I have to tell you guys is that this is not that they've conceded locations for exposures that are presumptive in nature. This is just saying that you don't have to fight as hard for certain locations for them to be considered an exposure to satisfy element 2. So when you directly claim something, so like if you were a veteran, and we'll get into it. I mean, we're going to get into the actual changes, but like if you were a veteran who served in a specific location in Japan during a specific time, then you wouldn't need to like specifically have to fight as hard and prove as much to get that specific TERA conceded on your behalf and listed in your TERA memorandum. So a couple other things on here, because this is all I got to right here. And then later on, they put out some new stuff for BDD. So I'm going to be going through this tonight for tomorrow's video. But they've made some changes to BDD also. So this is kind of, I don't know about this yet. This one kind of concerns me as I was looking at it, pulling it up. They just put it out. So, yeah, don't get me ranting about the nuclear radiation. We're going to go through it, Joe. We're going to go through it. So let me go back here, and then I've got to, because of the way this program is, I've got to stop sharing and then reshare something else. So let's share my screen, go by window, and then let's go by and it's going to take me a minute here, and I guess we're going to go with this one. So this is the first one. Let me see here. Yeah, sorry, not technically inclined. Okay, so here are the key changes. All right, let me pull this up so I can see it. We're kind of short notice here, so we got to pull this over here, and we got to pull that over there. The computer software fund is not there yet. Okay, so this is, I want to say, the first one. So this is the 8 subpart 3. I don't know if this is which one this is, but it's one of the two. So for this one, when you're looking at these changes, these key changes and revisions, you're going to be looking at the reasons for notable changes. Okay. And it talks about to clarify the threshold for establishing exposure to environmental and military occupational hazards. Now, environmental means location. So whenever they say that, that means location based. And this one means MOS based. Occupational hazards are MOS based. Okay. So they're providing additional guidance for this. So if you were somebody that was recently denied or have been denied since August 10th, 2022, if you're somebody that's been denied for something due to TERA, well, this might change the game. Now, I will say up front, guys, now this is me, clapping my hands for you to pay attention here, okay? I might even use the very important thing here. This is not a liberalizing law. They will not go back to your prior rating decisions based upon these changes. You have to be proactive that if they make a change that actually is in your favor with this, then you need to be proactive and file a new claim. They're not going to go back and go, "Oh, well, we recently changed something and Mr. Smith was denied for that something, but now they would be granted. Let's solicit a claim." They're not going to do that. Okay. Nobody is going to do that. So you have to be an advocate for yourself and kind of look to see. Sorry, the radiation exposure got me. And then we're talking some other things about this to add toxic exposure risk activities to theories for service connection that must be considered. Now, this is something that it has always been true since the inception of TERA. It must always be considered. What they're saying here is that they're moving some of the PACT Act SOP into the M21 manual. And that, my friends, is a good thing. We want as much of the requirements of the VSR and the RVSR, we want as many of those requirements to be veteran facing to where we can hold them accountable. Everybody's on the same page to where they can be held accountable for the behaviors that they do. If it's a hidden SOP behind the intranet, if it's a hidden SOP that you can't see, then you can't hold them accountable for it. So the more that they move this over, the better. So that way everybody's honest. Sorry that you're in step 5. Oh, yeah, no, this is big VA. So QRT can kick all the rocks. This is big VA doing it. Though I did see that somebody got their grimy little hands in this and they did alter some stuff from the PACT Act SOP. So I'm not too pleased about that. And then they wanted to add a note about considering other specific Gulf War toxic exposures. Now, here's another one: to remove burn pits from the list of hazards. So now don't freak out about this. What they mean is they're removing burn pits from the list of exposures for TERA because burn pits are presumptive in their own right. So don't think they're just removing it from TERA. And then they add a note to consider the veteran's history and circumstances of service, yada, 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 to delete duplicative guidance about considering claims based upon exposure types. Yeah. To add additional guidance about toxic exposures based upon military occupational duties. Now, this we need. We need this one because military occupational duties are currently the Wild West in claims processing. It's all over the place. So I think I saw the Salty Marine in here earlier, and I'd like to give, I don't know, I saw him in one of my comments actually, But if like the salty old marine or the salty marine, if you guys are in here, that's cool. Be sure to spread the word on this. Any YouTube person, any YouTube personality, I guess. We want to spread as much because veterans can be filing claims based upon this stuff. So let's get into it. Now, these particular manual references are new. They created this. MCM. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put the link to these updates, the specific page, in the live stream. What do they call it? In the live stream's description. I'm going to put these in here so that way you guys can just go to it. Yes, Disrobe. That's one of the things. So, this is something new. This is a new set of terminology. So MCM and anybody else that works kind of in the VA, you guys want to be cognizant of environmental or military occupational hazards, which is kind of the new name drop for TERA. And then let's get into it. So this is the introduction that kind of explains like kind of what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the exposures to these environmental occupational hazards, the locations of specific environmental hazards that the DoD concedes. And we're going to be talking about just the military exposures. We're going to be talking about action to take when a veteran claims an environmental hazard exposure but does not claim a disability. I mean, this is going to be an insufficient claim. Sulfur fire exposure in the mine near Mosul, Iraq. Mosul, okay. And then we're talking, like, we even get down into National Guard exposure to chromium-6 at wherever the hell that was in Iraq. And then we talk about exposure to pollutants and waste from incinerator near the Naval Air Facility in Atsugi, Japan. I think. I don't know. I'm not good. I'm not good with that. So it's a big deal, guys. Anytime that anytime the VA concedes exposure at a location, it's a big deal. Because that's one less fight you guys have to make. And as you can see, this was updated as of December 4th, 2025. There's actually 2 separate documents of this, so we're going to go through it. Basically, veterans may have been exposed to a variety of environmental and military occupational hazards during their service. Exposure events can be consistent with the places, types, and circumstances of the veteran's service. Now, this right here is drastically important for TERA, guys, for toxic exposures as the element 2. Okay? Because sometimes you can't prove it. You'll claim something like if you were exposed to industrial solvents, but there's nothing saying it. Sometimes you have to provide a job duty or some kind of like how you were exposed. You have to explain how you were exposed. So this is drastically important that anytime that you're going to do, like, let's say sleep apnea due to solvent exposure or something, you need to explain what solvents you were exposed to and where and when you were exposed to them. Service in specific locations, occupational duties and responsibilities. These are going to be the 2 different sections that they're looking for these. Like the places and types of circumstances are going to fall under this. So let's go down to the important section. This is going to be when the Department of Veterans Affairs, VA, does not recognize presumption of exposure or a presumption of service connection for specific duties or disabilities, sorry. Presumption of exposure is important because that's what a few of these are. These particular sites up here have now been deemed as presumptive exposure locations. And all that means is that it's not going to be instantly service connected. It's just that element 2 is presumptively satisfied for that particular chemical at that particular location. The claim must be processed under direct service-connected provisions. So TERA is a form. TERA exposures, the way we grant TERA is similar to the direct service connection. So for both of those, you need to have element 1, which is a current diagnosis. You have to have element 2. Yes, yes, Mr. Ray. That place is now that place is now currently a presumptive chemical exposure location, Mr. Ray. Yes, as of today, that place is a presumptive location for exposure to airborne pollutants. But anyway, so yeah. And then we talk about multiple theories of service connection may apply to the veteran. This is normal, so this hasn't changed. A lot of the times, like if you take, we'll just keep on the sleep apnea train. Sleep apnea can be granted due to direct service connection, secondary to something else, due to TERA exposures or the EMOHs now, aggravation, 1151 potentially. Like there's a lot of different ways that different conditions can be service connected. Like legally, there's a lot of different avenues if the evidence supports it. So when we're looking at like this particular section, all they're saying here is that we need to kind of review it and see if presumption can be like, if you qualify for presumption. If you do, we're supposed to go with presumption first. If we can't do presumption, then we go to direct. And then if we can't go to direct, then we go to toxic exposures. Like that's kind of the way that we look at this. And Doc Shelley needs a shirt that says, "Don't trust the VA." I like Doc Shelley. So, and this is just the reference section for this. So this is where they're kind of compiling all the different, like, considering all unclaimed theories for service connection under the duty to assist, which is normal. This new section about EMOHs. Locations of specific environmental hazards identified by the DoD. I expect that this list will grow, but so far we had 3 big drops as of today. And for me, this is a big deal because it becomes undebatable. If you have this exposure, it sure as hell better be on your TERA memo or your EILA report, because if it's not, and you get denied because you didn't, they said, no, he or she didn't have any kind of, chemical exposures at all, but you can prove that you were in Utsugi, Japan with no time limit. There's no time frame on here, by the way. There are no time frames on here. I mean, I'm pretty sure the Middle East ones are after 1991, like when the qualifying for the Gulf War started. So anytime after 1991, these two should be okay. But what we're dealing with here is we're dealing with, them conceding that you have these exposures. And that, for me, I kind of nerd out on this stuff, and it should stay on the, yes, MCM, it should stay on the TERA memorandum. But this is clear and unmistakable. Like these locations have been, like everybody agrees, you were exposed to these chemicals at this location. If you were there, if you can prove that you were there. So I just expect that more to come on this. Important. While the above list represents confirmed events associated with specific toxic exposures can be consistent with places, types, and circumstances of service in other locations. Now, this is important, and I like the fact that National QRT put this in here, because this right here is trying to persuade those VSRs and raiders who have their own personal bias that no, it doesn't say it in their service record, so there's no way on earth they could be, they weren't exposed to anything. They were never exposed. This is trying to right that ship and say, look, as long as we can prove that they were there and we can prove that, or they had job duties that were consistent with said exposure, we should be kind of leaning towards, conceding that. Okay. Now, determination should be based on a thorough fact-finding process and not, like here's the part like reading between the lines. This is them having to tell the people that this is their day job, mind you. This is the VSR's day job. This is the Raiders' day job. Somebody is having to go through the motions to tell those people that they have to do it based upon facts. They cannot do it based upon feelings. It cannot be based on feelings. And I know that seems weird to say that, but you wouldn't believe how many people take actions based upon how they feel, as far as they can take it. And you're supposed to be considering the veteran's service and circumstances as described. This is becoming a theme where, and I'm liking this. This is good. I'm going to call it how I see it. This is great. This is put in there specifically for the VSR, specifically for the Raider. You need to at least not, you can't top sheet this. You can't just go, no. You got to do a fact finding on it. If the veteran presents something, you got to rule it in, rule it out. You got to say, they were there, so I'm going to just concede it, at least as likely as not type, level of scrutiny, hopefully in the veteran's favor. Because remember, the tie is supposed to go to the veteran. Let me look at just a couple things here. I'm going to do just a couple of things here real quick. Thank you for becoming a member, Troy. Tornado Chaser, thank you for becoming a member. James, thank you for the donation. I appreciate it. Rudy gifted a sub. Thank you so much. And Rudy gifted another sub. Thank you so much for the support. And that never happens. That never happens. You guys are going to get me derailed on this. You guys are going to get me derailed because I want to just say things about that. And we'll talk more about that after I get through these things. But I really want to get through these because this is important, guys. I'll probably do another video on this, but I want to put this out there because this is good news. So military occupational hazard exposures. Now, this was one of the parts you can ask any Raider out there. This is one. Sorry, certified barn door just said something that kind of broke my brain. I'll get to the comments here in just a minute. Military occupational hazard exposure has been the Wild West since August 10th, 2022, where there can be wildly different interpretations of what an MOS, military occupational specialty, level of exposure is. Okay. And we needed, the VA needs to rein that in because you cannot have it to where apples, oranges, tricycle. You can't have it to where people get the weirdest different outcomes with the same information. You could have 3 people go to the same location, have the same exposures. And we're just talking about exposures. We're not talking about granting anything. We're not talking about anything like that. We're just talking about conceding exposure. You could have 3 people standing within 3 feet of each other at the same location at the same time, and all 3 of them get different outcomes in what the VSR and or Raider decide is the military occupational exposure. So this is something that we need to get a handle on this. So let's see what they did. So it says veterans may claim exposures to specific toxins based upon occupational duties they performed during their military service. Now, I will say right here, when they say specific toxins, that is an indication that you as the veteran need to specifically state the toxin. If you do not, it will not favor you. The VA may not recognize specific disabilities as presumptively due to the claimed occupational exposure. Therefore, each exposure event should be considered based upon the places, types, and circumstances of the veteran's service. So this just has to do with conceding the exposure. This was already of record beforehand in a different section. Everything that's yellow is a change. A military occupational specialty, MOS, simply identifies the job category and does not automatically prove that a veteran was exposed to specific toxins. Now, this pisses me off. If you were a fuel handler, we're not putting anybody on the moon. Okay, let's be honest. We're not putting anybody on the moon anytime soon. So Why is it that if your military occupational specialty, your job in the military, was legitimately doing something with a toxin, why can't we just concede that? Why can't the MOS itself be, you know, the exposure? I was a fuel handler, I was handling fuel. Like, why do I have to go through those motions? This part disappoints me. It doesn't upset me too much. I'm just looking at the chat. Effective date based on style. All right, yeah, it's certified vet. We'll talk about that later. VA does not currently recognize a presumptive exposure to any specific toxins based upon MOS. Now, keep in mind, remember up here, we were dealing with locations, right? Like locations can be presumptive exposures. Like you went to this location, we concede that you were exposed to sulfur fire nonsense. You went to Japan, you got airborne pollutants. Okay. So locations can have presumptively be conceded, but job duties can't still. We still have a ways to go on this, and it upsets me a lot. Each claim of toxic exposure based upon occupational duties must be evaluated under the guidance of da 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 da, which means that MOS related exposures are still susceptible to personal bias by the VSR and by the rater. So it behooves you to, if you're going to do some kind of MOS related TERA that you would like to have conceded, then you need to make sure that you are packing as much evidence into that as you humanly can. Okay. Exception: asbestos. I don't know why. Somebody somewhere, like, this makes no sense to me. This is part of, like, if you want to go, like, I'm just going to go on a rant for a minute. Why is asbestos special? Like, asbestos exposure is a presumptively exposed job duty type thing. Like, they can concede that the walls had asbestos in it, but they can't concede that, being a fuel handler, you would handle fuel. It breaks my brain that there are this many. I got to watch what I say here. It makes me think that when they apply a certain logic to something and then they don't apply it to the rest of the situation or circumstances, it doesn't feel genuine to me that they're doing it based upon logic, reasoning, deductive reasoning, anything like that. It just makes me feel like somebody accidentally did the asbestos thing and they can't take it back, but they don't want to repeat of asbestos because then everybody would have MOS related this, that, and the other. No, Navy, CIC, no. An MOS does not automatically exclude you from toxins. No, it does not. Not at all. Okay, so actions to take. So this is talking to the VSR and the rater. When a veteran claims environmental MOS-related hazards, exposure, but does not claim a disability. So this is going to be an incomplete application. That's all this is going to be. It's no different. Exposure is not a disability, so you can't, like, we get a lot of I have Gulf War or I have PACT Act related illnesses, and I'm like, that's not a disability. That's barely even saying that you were exposed to something. So anytime that you don't claim, like if you just claim I was exposed to sulfur, you have to show element 1, the disability that you have because you were exposed to sulfur. Soaked in fuel for months while deployed in, salty marine, it should definitely be conceded. I agree. Look, I'm at the front of that line. I mean, I was a radiology tech, and they won't automatically concede that I was exposed to radiation. I'm like, are you kidding me? I had a dosimeter on me. But so we came a long way with the locations. They're starting to free up specific locations and concede them automatically if you were there. Great. The MOS stuff, we still have a long ways to go, but they're at least instructing the VSRs and the raters to at least research it, which is better, right? And you also have the opportunity to go in and review and say, hey, look, I was exposed to this based upon these job duties. And you still have a fighting chance of getting it conceded. Now, this is where we start talking about those specific exposures for like the National Guard, chromium 6 exposure and whatnot. So this is going to break it down. So on June 24, 2003, fire ignited. If you guys want to read this, you can. I will put this link in the description. But basically, I don't. Okay, so here's what confuses me. What's a VSR rater supposed to do with this? I don't need to know that there's 42 million pounds of sulfur dioxide. What does that do for me? I mean, I'm gonna take a step back here and I'm just gonna talk about this for a second. Why do I need to know this? Why do I need to know, like, oh my gosh, it's hydrogen sulfide? Oh my gosh, Becky, it's not toxic enough. Like, I can understand it if they're trying to give this information to the examiner, but this stuff will not transcribe to the examiners. So the things that the rater or the VSR would need to know is dates and times that you're going to let me say that somebody could be exposed to this. Like, that's what I need to rate the claim. But if I don't have that, so for me right now, there's nothing saying, like, there's no duration. You know, it started on this date, ended on no date listed so far. Same thing here. 2003 was a hot month or hot year, let me tell you. So the National Guard were exposed to chromium 6 in Iraq, in the water. God, that sucks. Okay. So Army National Guard personnel from Indiana, West Virginia, South Carolina, and Oregon served at this place, water treatment plant, and they were assigned to guard contract workers who were restoring the plant. Well, unfortunately, they were hit with, oh God, chromium in sodium dichromate is a lung carcinogen through inhalation of an acidic compound that can cause immediate irritation to the eyes, nose, sinus, lungs, skin. Interesting. The Army could not specifically trace symptoms to the chromium exposure. Research into the effects of the exposure is ongoing. Okay, so what does this mean, guys? Okay, so this means that for the National Guard in these qualifying time period, qualifying guard units and qualifying location, there's going to be some future presumptives for you guys. Okay. There is going to be some future presumptives. And I did see that the Salty Marines in here. If you guys like, go over, give his channel a like and subscribe. I like his videos. I watch him all the time. We don't do the same thing, but we're in the same ballpark. You know, it's not the same book. We're in the same library, but I really like his videos. So I just want to say that up front. I'm going to give credit where credit's due. And then, so the National Guard guys here, one of the problems that I see though with this one is sometimes National Guard units themselves were not able to be completely filled, right? Like they didn't have enough people, so they would borrow from other units. And I feel really bad because I think that there might be other locations. So there's going to be a little bit like for all of you, like if you know somebody in the National Guard that this is their fact pattern, minus the fact that maybe they weren't in one of these particular units, maybe they were attached to them, you need to get in touch with them and you need to let them know because this stuff is horrible. I mean, we're talking about lung cancer. We're talking about a lot of bad things here. So this is something I'm happy that the DOD is releasing this to let people know. Okay. And I'm look, guys, I'm just putting out this information for you guys. I know it's going to be a pain in the butt. We're going to be here for a while, but this is a big deal. Like this is not making national news right now, but this is a big deal for every Natty Guardman like that were in these units that are currently dealing with this nonsense. Number one, it concedes element 2. Number 2, we're almost to presumptive status for these things for them. Rudy, what's a National Guard? So, and then we come down here, and I know that Mr. Ray was talking about this. Okay. Both of them, George. Salty Marine and the Salty Old Marine. I like them both. I watch them both. We started about the same time-ish with our channels. And, I watch their stuff and they give me ideas. And, I know the Salties here. But this is for Mr. Ray. So between 1985 and 2001, when were you there, Mr. Ray? Were you there during this time? I'm going to scroll up and see if Mr. Ray was there, because this bothers me for Mr. Ray. I'm scrolling up. You'll have to bear with me because this is important to me. It's 83. So actually, you fall outside of it, which is a blessing and a curse. So from 1985 to 2001, we're talking about waste incinerator. And these are the identified chemicals that you would be able to claim on your TERA memorandum. So you would say, if you were a veteran that served in Utsugi between this time period, you could get at least another crack at a lot of your denials for TERA based upon these specific TERAs. Okay. Oh, was he? Okay, then Mr. Ray, this is for you. I'm sorry you were in the emergency room, Salty. Oh man, I'm sorry. That sucks. Hold on just a second here. Yes, I am encouraging veterans to file claims. Yes. Put me hang me out to dry, because I'm going to keep doing it. And hey, Salty, I'm sorry that you were in the ER. Ugh, it's horrible every time. Yeah, so Mr. Ray, this right here for your dad could be a new avenue to actually address these specific chemicals. And why does this matter, right? Like, why does this matter? It matters because if you were denied for, like, let's say asthma, right? And they did a TERA memorandum on you, and they did an ILR on you, and they said, okay, well, no, it's a no-go, right? Like, we're going to deny you because we don't see that any of your exposures could have caused your asthma. The fact that they have conceded this exposure at this location for these chemicals right here gives you this is new and relevant evidence for a supplemental claim in which you were denied. Now, this does not, and I have to say this is very important, okay, guys? Very important. This is not a liberalizing law. You do not get an earlier effective date. This, you would put in a claim today, whatever your ITF is for it, whatever your date of claim is for your claim, and let's say you won based upon these chemicals for this fact pattern right here, it's not going to be a year earlier like it is with the liberalizing law, like the PACT Act and whatnot. This is an internal decision to concede these exposures, but it's a very big deal to people. I mean, like, I got to choose my words carefully here. I'm very encouraged by the fact that we're opening more doors to veterans to be able to appeal for specific TERA exposures that they were legitimately exposed to. Okay? Legitimately exposed to, because it frustrates me. And I'm looking here, like, something's going on with the chat. No. Okay, so exposure to environmental MOS related hazards and TERA. So when exposure to environmental MOS related hazards is raised in a claim, exposure must be researched and verified in accordance with the standards of this, and documented by following TERA procedural outlined in the PACT Act SOP. I like this section because once again, it's reaffirming to QRT, who will push this, that these have to be researched. These, you have to spend the time. You have to search for this information. You have to do due diligence. I think Teddy was joking. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think Teddy was serious about that, guys. Don't kill Teddy. Okay? Teddy was just joking. And that's the first one. Okay, so this is the first particular update. And I have to say, for veterans filing claims, this is good. Overall, this is good. We have a lot of room to grow in terms of the MOS, military occupational hazards, for like MOS related. We're not yet there to being able to, in my personal opinion, have veterans get a fair shake on the MOS, because you can have drastically differing opinions based upon VSRs and raters. Now, I've said this beforehand. I've always said this beforehand and I lost what I was going to say because I just read something and now I forgot. Oh, I remember. I think it would be good to make it to where only raters have the final say on the TERA memorandum, because they have the final say on the overall claim. So I don't like the fact that if I, as a rater, do I say this exposure exists, happens, and otherwise, and I certify a TERA memorandum, I don't like the idea that a VSR can come behind me, disagree with me, and remove the TERA, not add to it. I don't mind if they add more TERAs to it, but I do disagree with the fact that they can remove them, because it just causes horrible headaches. No worries, Daddy. I got you. I knew it was a joke. So let's go back here for a second, and then I'm going to stop sharing that screen, and I'm going to start sharing my other screen, in which we talk about the second half of that. Now, I don't know. Do you guys think that this was worth an emergency live stream for? Because for me, I'm really excited for this, because this is better, like better outcomes for more veterans. Let me see here. Let me share that. And then we're going to have to go here, and then we're going to have to go here. Now, this one right here, this is going to be basically, it's huge. This is the second half of the changes. Okay. And the second half of the changes, we're dealing with the how-to. So the first document that I shared with you is what are they adding? What are the guidelines? What are the parameters for all of these chemical exposures? Okay. And then this is going to be how we go about doing it. Now, why does this matter to you guys? Well, this matters to you guys that if they should deny you, this is the playbook that the VSRs and the raters have to follow. So if they don't follow these procedures, that you're in to call a higher level review. Because remember, higher level reviews are not for bitching and complaining. Higher level reviews are for showing that the rater did not follow the VA's own process on something. So this is the process, okay? So we're adding new procedures. We're adding new examples. We're trying to teach the VSRs and raters how to go about doing this. So, and I will have a link to each of these in the live stream follow-up, okay? And once again, this was added on 12/4, so today. So this should be easy. So we're talking about procedures, reviewing records. What does it look like? So the change happened December the 4th, and everything in yellow is a new change. So this is all new stuff. Okay. Yeah, no, Robert, I saw that, and I was on his live stream. I actually was watching his live stream about that HR 6047 thing, or was it House Bill HB 6047? And we'll get to that here in a few, but I'm rather pissed off about that. It is critical that claims processors rely upon all available sources of evidence when verifying and conceding an in-service exposure event is consistent with the place's circumstances of service. Now, I like this because somebody is taking note of the fact that not all TERA memorandum reviews are done by the book. Okay? Not all claims processors follow logic, reasoning, and evidence to come to their conclusions. Some of them, and you know what? Any white knight wants to jump in here and they want to nerdlinger me on how it's never happened before. That's fine. Meet me in the parking lot. Okay? That's fine. I got you. But I'm just telling you that they have to write it this way because people aren't doing it this way. So this is good. This is good. The tone that they're using is telling you evidence must be the way that you decide this, not how you feel about something. So these are the steps. So some of these are going to be repeats to just how normal process works. You can't make a decision on anything until you get all the records. So you need to get all the records first. That's the first step. And then you got to pull the ILA report. And the ILA report is basically, you got to go to the doers, I forget the name of the website, but you got to go and you've got to pull from the DOD and get the ILA report and see if one's there. Now, if you have an ILA report, it'll give a list of the exposures, dates, times, how it happened. But this is on rails. So you can actually hold VSRs and raters accountable because it's an algorithm. If yes, ensure that the ILA report documents and then go to the next step. If no, document negative ILA, go to the next step. So you can contrast not deers. It's doers. I don't know. Refer to the table below to determine the potential exposure types and relevant standing for each exposure. Okay. So we've got if the toxic exposure is, and then we have then review the standards to establish exposure. Okay. So if the exposure is a specific environmental hazard listed in this section, then we follow this section. Related to military occupational duties, then we follow this section. I mean, it seems pretty easy. Based upon the applicable standard from step 3, do military records establish exposure to an environmental MOS related hazard is consistent with the facts, places, and circumstances. Now, step 4 is going to be the one where bias is going to kick in. Okay. This is going to be the one where people will fight tooth and nail. Like if they believe to the contrary, they will fight tooth and nail to say no. If they're pro-veteran, then they'll fight to say yes. If they're neutral, then they'll just follow the evidence. Yeah, the doers. I call it doers. I don't know. Yeah. That's part of the ILA. I guess I should say that's part of the ILA program is the doers. It's a location-based search engine for determining TERA. But these are like yes and no. If yes, document the specific exposures. And then, so I'm not going to go through all this, but is there explicit allegation of exposure? So this is step 5 is, did the veteran explicitly claim a specific exposure in their claim? And then it says, has it not been verified by the steps above? If yes, goes to the next step. If no, disregard the remaining steps and follow your procedures and document any other TERA participation. Whoa. Okay. I'm going to get to those here in a minute. We're almost done. I'm halfway done with this. Are there any alternative sources of evidence? Now, this is important, guys. Molto importante. We're going to go here to the very important. This particular guide tells the VSR and the rater that they have to account for alternative sources of evidence. So when you guys submit your Fort McClellan information saying that this, or your PFAS locations, this tells the VSR and rater that they're supposed to actually consider it as evidence. Okay? They're supposed to consider it. They're not supposed to discount it. So this step 6 right here, guys, is going to be something that you can use on a higher level review and go, whoa, 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 wait a minute here. I claimed ice cream as my TERA. I showed this documentation and this scientific research showing that the place that I was at had exposure to ice cream. I'm just using ice cream as an analogy. Whenever I look at my TERA memo, ice cream's not on there. Why is ice cream not on my TERA memo? They're supposed to consider it within the circumstances of your service, and they can use external evidence to concede it. So just keep that in mind, and we'll get rid of that. And then we come down here, reviewing military records for exposures. This right here gets me. The fact that they have to say thoroughly review the records. Why are people not thoroughly reviewing the records? Bothers me. And we got to look in here, and we got to look at military service records, STRs, different. And then we come to an example. And I always like their examples because they're hit or miss. A veteran claims service connection for a non-presumptive disability due to exposures in that water treatment plant. The veteran's personnel records confirm activation within the West Virginia Army National Guard, so where you served matters, and assignment to the plant in April of 2003. Exposure to sodium and that chemical too can be conceded as TERA, as it is consistent with the places and circumstances of the veteran's military service. Now, I know that we have not very many chemicals that were conceded, but I know that we were talking, like a couple days ago, I was talking with somebody about Panama, Agent Orange exposure in Panama. This particular addition to the M21 manual can help individuals now more than ever. Yeah, sorry, I was reading the stuff. But now more than ever, if you have evidence to support that you were exposed to something in service, it can potentially be conceded much more easily based upon these regulations that were put out. And not just for those 3 places that I spoke about, but for a lot of different places. And then note, do not submit EMOH exposure research request to the veterans benefits. Okay, yeah. So we can't do like MOS or location based exposure research requests, which is fine. I mean, that's okay. So what they're saying is that the VA has to all the VSC staff have to make the determination, and they can't send it off to let somebody else make that determination for them. And then we got to consider alternative evidence. And here's where they start to actually, we can hold their feet to the fire. Guys, we can finally hold their feet to the fire because this allows you to go to a DRO in a higher level review, and you can actually say, hey, look, my personal statement technically counts as alternative evidence. You can't overlook it. My buddy statement, as long as it meets criteria, remember, there's a criteria for buddy statements. Going in and randomly searching your unit history for locations of service, you can do that. You can use news articles. These are now on the table, guys. This is a big deal. I know that this probably doesn't seem like a big deal, but this is a big, big deal because these things are now on the table and you can use it against them. And that's true, Bob. You could potentially use it, but you couldn't hold them to it beforehand. If you found somebody that was nice that wanted to use it, they could use it. But this is what I was talking about whenever I would say that the rater would do a TERA memo and then the VSR would take that TERA away because they didn't agree. This right here makes it to where now you can actually keep it in there more easily. So this is just better. It's hold on. Now you're gonna make me do it. Hold on. You're gonna make me pull up the thing here. I'm gonna do it. Hold on. Okay. So here's the actual address, the link for it. I just want to paste. So that's the link for the 38, oh well, the M21-1 where it does the updates. So that way you can follow along if you want to. You would just go to the December one and just pull it up. We don't gatekeep around here, kids. Nope. They need to stop changing around the TERAs. They do. Important. The veteran's lay statement of exposure or statements provided by others can be used to establish exposure to the claimed. Yes. Concede exposure to the claimed EMOH if the statements provided by the veteran and or others consistent with the facts, places, and circumstances. This was not in there beforehand. Yellow means it was never in there. It's new. So this is good. This is good. Yes. Yes. The old Ronin. Yes, you may use all of those. Yes. And then they give an example here. The veteran claims service-connected disability that provides a lay statement of his military occupational duties resulted in exposure to fuels. God, this one's going to piss me off, actually, because this one, if he's a mechanic, then if he's a fuel system mechanic, then him getting in contact with fuels shouldn't have to be discussed. I mean, this should be automatic, but that's another day's rant. The veteran's personnel records confirm that he performed fuel system maintenance duties. Exposure to fuel can be conceded and established as TERA participation as it is consistent with the circumstances of the veteran's military occupational specialty. And then we're going to come down here. Gosh, this thing keeps going. EILER. So this is the EILER report. It basically gives a list of exposures. It's something that has been in effect for quite some time. When it is determined that the evidence satisfies the threshold for ordering a medical opinion based upon specific EMH, yeah. So it's just saying, like, what does this do? So what does this change do? It gives you the opportunity to get your element 2 satisfied, to have second chances for things that were previously denied. It's a big deal. So for me, I don't know. I know I'm a dork. I like this stuff. So now we're going to go to establishing exposure to specific environmental hazards. And then these are the specific 3 places. So how do we go about verifying these 3 new places? So we establish, okay, so they do right here, they provide the date range. So this is the date range for exposure to this particular site for the airfield thing. So this is why we want to look at these things, because the 38 CFR won't have this in here. The M21 has it in here, but and that first entry explained it a little bit, but you have to go diving deeper to see what the date ranges are. So we're looking at June 24th, 2003 through July 21st, 2003 is when you'd have to be at this place, you know, to meet the requirements. Also, there's a roster of firefighters and support elements that participated in controlling the fire. So these people right here, what this means is these individuals, if you can prove that you were in any of these units, you are automatically conceded. I'll get to the super chats and whatnot here in just a second. The Camp West Major Military Primary Area Deployed 1st Airborne Division. So if you didn't meet any of these requirements, you'd have to explain that you were there, and you'd have to support it. The overdevelopment question. Concede exposure to pollutants for Atsugi between 1985 and 2001. There's no specific date range on here. Okay. That just seemed to go really quick. They just kind of just gave up on explaining Japan there. They just kind of went, okay. I wish they would have given more Specific exposures. I mean, pollutants. Okay. Not too helpful. Establishing toxic exposures related to occupational hazards. Now, this is the one where they changed it the most. I don't know about them cutting CMP exams. They can't do it. Hold on just a second here. Mm. How to say this? I want to say this as highbrow as I can. Doug Collins has no clue what's going on in the VA. You can't duct tape that man to a chair in the VA. He hasn't spent more than 10 minutes in the VA. He hasn't talked to anybody at the VA. He doesn't do anything at the VA. He is running around trying to get in front of any camera that will take his face. So I don't think Doug Collins knows what he is talking about because he has done no research about anything that came out of his mouth at that meeting. So I'm going to say don't worry about it because I would take what he says about VA benefits and what he says about nuclear fission on the same level. Now, I've been disappointed time and time again by Doug Collins. I haven't seen any change. I haven't seen anything. Yes, Doc Shelley, I know. Yeah, I know. I'm there with you. Trust me, I'm there with you. I look, and I'm not saying he's a bad person, right? I'm not saying that Doug Collins is a bad person. I'm just saying that Doug Collins is the epitome of what's wrong at the VA. He's somebody in a position that has no business being there. He has no experience being there. He has no factual understanding of the process. I mean, you might as well put my children in there for as much good as that's going to do. I mean, I'm not playing with that. Like, it would be nice to have somebody like I understand that leaders don't need to be specialists in the area in which they are leading. However, if something's messed up, it helps to have somebody that has an understanding of the process to help fix it. If nothing's wrong, then a leader that has no functional understanding of the process can do the basic functions of leading. I don't disagree with that. But he is all over the place. He has no clue in the fact that he will say anything to anybody. You know what I want? I want a VA secretary that isn't talking, that's doing. I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of him talking. I've heard everything he has to say. I'd like to see what he does. Because right now I can't think of anything that he's done. Oh, I visited here. I went there. Oh, God. You know, like, do something. For the love of mercy, Doug Collins, do something. Does he live in Waco? I mean, he might as well. Who knows? I'm surprised I don't know that factoid about him. I just you got me going on Doug Collins, but let me get back to here. So this is the part that I was most concerned about because this is the most at-risk section of the TERA. So let's look through here. So we're just talking about veterans' exposure to a specific military occupational exposure hazard can be conceded as a TERA participation if the claimed exposure is consistent with the occupational duties and responsibilities performed. Now, it is on you, the veteran, to give them a list of duties and occupational duties that you performed. The Air Force does a really good job of their tech reviews. They're like tech evaluations, where it gives a list of their job duties. However, other branches of service are not good at telling anybody what you did in that particular MOS that you held. So oh yeah, Doc. Yeah, I got you. I got you on that one. Review each claim of military occupational exposure to determine if credible evidence establishes. So this means that you have to give them kind of a scenario. Like, I was here, I was a carpenter and I had to deal with, sanding metal or something like that. And that's how I got my, exposure to asbestos, whatever. I don't know. Asbestos is a bad example, but whatever. When making this determination, consider whether the veteran's occupational duties are associated with risk factors for the alleged exposure. Okay, I have no clue how they're going to come to that conclusion because there is no formal document that says what job duties are associated with each MOS. The VA has not made one. So it's just, I'm looking at the comments. I can't look at the comments. I'm going to get distracted. Okay, so example 1. Veteran claims disability caused by exposure to diesel fuel and exhaust. The personnel records show that his duties include fueling military vehicles, which not many personnel records say that you fueled vehicles if you're a fuel handler. It's kind of implied. It would be like going to your records to try to find the fact that you held a rifle. There's not much in there to explain that you held a rifle because that job duty is implicit to the being in the military. That's what pisses me off half the time, is that these don't make any sense. Number 2, the veteran claims disability due to jet exhaust. Military records confirm that they were on the flight deck of an aircraft carrier. I shouldn't have to confirm this. Veteran claims disability due to occupational duties that involve spraying pesticides around the base in Germany. However, none of the available evidence indicates overseas service or other circumstances. So this would be conceded, not conceded. That's how that would go. Evidence required to establish military occupational exposures. A military occupational specialty alone is not an event, even though it should be. Being a radiology tech means I was exposed to radiation. I swear to all that's holy and under heaven. I don't know why I don't understand why they can't get that through their head. Therefore, conceding toxic exposures based upon the MOS alone is not appropriate. Got it. So and we did this a lot in the beginning, 8/10/2022, we did this a lot where we went, oh, they're a fuel handler. I mean, what do I need to show? They handled fuel. Okay, good. I'm going to concede that. Or they had break free and whatnot. So what we're supposed to do is we're supposed to take laying evidence that is found to be credible and consistent with claimed exposures, or something in their record that specifically states it, like EILER, STRs, or military personnel. And then we're almost done, guys. MOS entries in EILER. Some EILER reports have MOS. When the EILER indicates a listing of potential hazards associated with the veteran's MOS, and the veteran is confirmed to have served in that occupation during active military service, this evidence is sufficient. So sometimes what happens with the EILER reports is they'll give a similar job duty exposure. Like, I was in the medical, like a 68 whiskey. I was a 68 whiskey combat medic. And then on your EILER, it'll say, like, if you were a dental tech, you could have been exposed to radiation. Well, being a 68 whiskey doesn't mean that you were a dental tech. So sometimes the EILERs have stuff on there that's kind of a suggestion potentially, and not a direct causal, you were exposed to this. We concede that you were exposed to this. So that's what this is talking about. To establish exposure, my voice. To establish exposures to the specific listed toxins as TERA participation. The circumstance-based TERA examination exception should not be applied simply because an EILER entry notes potential exposure to toxic substances, chemicals, or exposures. In these instances, there is no requirement for the listed exposure to be further substantiated. Okay. This is a big deal. Okay. This right here, I'm going to share some tea with you guys. Okay. There was this big hullabaloo. I mean, like, people were losing their functional minds. They were going nuts because there was this disagreement between QRTs. And some QRTs thought that if it said that there was potential exposure, that was not the same as being exposed. Get to the chopper. But the other camp, which I sided with that camp, is if you were potentially exposed, then you were exposed. Like there's no threshold shift. Like there's no threshold for it. It's like being exposed to Agent Orange. If you served 1 day over there, then you were exposed. It doesn't matter what you did there. You were there. Technically, that's what. Yeah. Yes. Yes. Jarhead. That's perfect. But so this right here, this is housekeeping. This important right here is to basically the person in charge grabbed the reins and said, it's my way. Okay. This is going to be my way now. And it was bad because you would like this right here is a lot of the reason why so many TERA memos were overturning each other. Like so many people were overturning because you had these two different camps. I am so happy that they addressed this. Now, whether or not they follow it, who knows, because that's a completely different, fact pattern in and of itself. Like you have to be compliant with with the actual guidance here. But the fact of the matter is, this is important because this helps. Like I'm happy about this statement right here because it's number one, it sides with the veteran. Number two, it stops the people and their internal bias. Because internal bias is part of the reason why a lot of VSRs and a lot of raiders do what they do. Now, people can disagree with me, and that's fine. Like, I don't do that. Cool. I count one that doesn't do it. Cool. But that's why they had to put this in here. They had to put it in there that you can't rule out the exposure because it says potential exposure. There's nothing that says you were absolutely exposed to anything. And then finally here, we're coming down to rating claims based upon exposures to specific sites. When the veteran claims a disability due to one of these specific environmental EMOHs-related hazards for which the VA does not recognize presumption, the claim should be considered under the basis of direct service connection to include TERA. Typically, unless the condition is excluded by being like a mental health condition or a musculoskeletal condition, these go in this order. They'll consider it for direct service connection, and if you can't grant for service direct, then you pivot over to TERA, and you try to catch it as the last report. You should be able to wash engineer. You should be able to get your ILA report via FOIA if they have pulled your ILA report before you get the FOIA. Or other theories raised by the veteran. So veterans with service connection in locations associated with multiple toxic exposures. You're supposed to follow this manual to determine whether an unclaimed theory is reasonably raised. This is just normal business practice. This is not anything new. It's like saying, if you claim something secondary, we're going to use the duty to assist. And if the examiner denies you for secondary, we're going to review for direct. We're going to review for all other theories that could technically apply to it. I know the bias should not exist, but there is so much deep-seated bias. People do things the way that they do them more in the VA than anywhere else I've ever worked. Example, a veteran claims disability due to the sulfur mine fire. They showed the qualifying location during the qualifying period. In addition to exposure sulfur and hydrogen fire, they were exposed. They were also exposed to other stuff in Iraq as a TERA. Consider whether the presumptive provisions of 38 CFR, basically 38 CFR 3.320 and 38 CFR 3.317 for MUCMEs. All this is telling us is, hey, Raider, check to make sure that the disability isn't already covered underneath the airborne hazards presumptive or the MUCME presumptive. If they are, go with that because it's more advantageous to the veteran. And if it's not, then we're going to fall back on TERA. Okay. And then that, my friends, is it. Oh my gosh, we are done with that. So, woo. Okay. I will list this website, each one of these sites, I will list them in the in the video description for the live. But please, I mean, I am actually excited for this. Somebody snuck one through, and what it means to me, like what this means to me, is that we're slowly moving away from hidden SOPs and we're actually moving towards putting this stuff in the manual to where veterans can fight and they can actually hold the VA accountable and not have a hidden document that they can't even access. Now, let's go, because I see that certified barn door is going to kick me in the face if I don't answer some of these. So I'm going to answer these and I'll make sure that I get to your question, certified barn door. Raider, riddle me this, please. If I have an open supplemental claim from a higher level review duty to assist error for my TERA claim, and it's going back for medical opinion now, can this help? Yes, this can help. This can help a lot. No, certified, you're fine. I was just teasing you. I'm not mad. But thank you for the donation, Jeff. I appreciate it. Certified barn door. Is overdevelopment a legit avenue for a higher level review? No, it's not. Higher level overdevelopment, as identified by the VA, means that the VSR and or rater did something to delay the claim. Delaying the claim does not hurt the increase or service connectability of something. Underdevelopment would. Underdevelopment would be very probative to a higher level review, because underdevelopment means that they didn't get something they should have. But overdevelopment just means they wasted time. Now, if they granted you, you're still going to get back paid for that wasted time. If they denied you, then there's no recourse. You can't follow up and say, hey, look, they overdeveloped me. I mean, could the people that overdeveloped you get a quality error? Yes, but that's an internal process. You have no control over it. No higher level review will cause them to get any kind of an error. Fan man. Hi, Raider. If a decision Regis, I hate that, is deferred for clarification, what could that mean? Is it a determination that hallux or osteoarthritis, since they each have a diagnostic code? Thanks for all you do. Okay, so here's the problem with this. And the thing that you have to think of is this already service connected? If it's already service connected and it's going back for clarification, that's a little concerning. If it's not service connected and you're trying to get it service connected, then that could be, and there's a lot of what ifs here because I don't know directly what your situation is, but what that could be is that could be them, the rater, trying to clarify conflicting information. You have to remember, the feet are very challenging to rate. So sometimes the raters will be more cautious with the feet because there's more opportunities to catch an error if they don't rate them correctly, because they're very challenging to rate. And then I hope that answers that, fan man. There's no way for me to tell. And then we got 5 gifted subs. Well, thank you. I don't know how to say her name, and I feel like I'm going to say it wrong. Hose Doe. I don't know. I don't know. All right, but thank you for the 5 gifted subs. That's awesome. And then we've got a new member, ATC 562,002. Thank you for, I appreciate it. Everything you guys are doing. One more gifted sub by Sam Sams. Appreciate it. Yay. Thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. And then finally, one more gifted sub from JSMC 0642. 0624. Sorry, dyslexia there for a second. Okay. So, oops, nope, that's the one. No, I get it, Doc. I get it. It's a very rewarding job, right? Like, it's a very rewarding job. Whenever I transitioned from VSR to RVSR, I actually missed being a VSR, even though I kind of hated it every single day of the week. Whenever I moved from a VSR to an RVSR and I learned how the RVSR process worked, I thought to myself, I could go back to being a VSR and be the best VSR known to man. And I mean, the money's good for an RVSR, don't get me wrong, but it's nice to be able to give back to the veteran community and to help and to fight and advocate. It's the best job ever. It is. And this is actually the truest statement I've ever heard in my life about the VA itself. It's the best job ever until it wasn't. And that's the way it works. You're a good person until you're not. Um, Mr. Ray. So for this one, putting all the evidence in front of the examiner is probably the best thing that you can do. Loading all the evidence in front of the examiner, the best thing that you can do, because you can't, like you said, they're not forward facing, so they're not veteran facing. It sucks. Joe Young, you can honestly make this claim now. You can make this case now, and as of today, you have a higher likelihood of them conceding this if you can show evidence of it being true. You want a submarine, this being a thing, yeah, unless they're shitbags. I mean, sorry. I shouldn't swear. That came out too easy. Yes. Doc has a point here, and I'm sorry for swearing. I apologize for that. It just rolled off the tongue. I've never seen failing upwards more in my entire life than I did in the VA. The VHA, the VBA, either one. I've never seen people fail upwards easier in my entire life. Okay. So real quick here, I want to go back to the last one here. And Teddy is now a new member. Thank you, Teddy. Thank everybody that became a member tonight. I appreciate you guys. So I want to take a few minutes here, and I want to talk about why that's. Oh wait, and then we got this one. Thank you for the donation, ATC. Your videos hold value, and we appreciate you, Raider. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you guys too. So real quick here, I want to talk about, I put out that video today because I was watching the Civ Divs live stream about that House Bill 6047, I think is what it is, and how they want to, I've never seen just like peeing on me and saying that it's raining before. I've never seen that, but I really felt like that today. And I know that somebody in the chat, somebody in the comment section, and I'm not like, they made a fair point of, is this really the hill to die on? And I thought about it and I was like, yes. Yes. Even though it's just related to paying a fee for your, your home loan, should you have to sell your house and buy a new one. Is this the hill to die on? And in my personal opinion, yes, this is the hill to fortify. Every veteran should be fortifying this hill. Every veteran should be on guard on this hill. Every veteran should be defending this hill. And you need to make sure, because if they come for one of our benefits and we normalize the fact that they can give and take things, we might not get the choice of them taking something that we don't like or we don't deserve. I mean, it really frustrates me. And I think that, like, there's never been a time that we need to be more unified. And I know that, like, the salty old Marine and the salty Marine, like, they have different takes on things a little bit, not too much. I mean, everybody's pro-veteran here. But that's something that, I hope that they talk about, is the fact that, we need to come together as veterans. We need to be more unified than ever. And by the day, I'm actually like, I'm putting aside any of my differences with any other veteran. And I'm saying we need to come together, guys, because I don't like being attacked. I don't like attacking people, but I don't like being attacked. It's a fundamental trigger for me. And it feels like, and this is just my personal opinion, but it feels like somebody's attacking us. Like this is a choreographed, and I might be crazy, right? There's a chance, there's a percentage possibility of that I could be crazy. And that's fine. I'll accept that. You know, some people can go, oh, no, that won't happen. But I don't like being the victim of anything. I don't like being a victim. And I refuse to be a victim. And I will fight tooth and nail to not be a victim. And I feel like if we let them just take things from us, we will one day wake up and be a victim of other people's, I don't know if I want to say greed, but the veteran community, like for me, being pro-veteran means being patriotic. Being pro-veteran means being pro-America, because America wouldn't be here without veterans. And this t-shirt veteran support thing where they wear it when they want to, it's like a t-shirt, they just put it on when they want to, they take it off when they don't want to. I'm done with this. I'm done with it. I'm done with t-shirt support where they wear it when they want to and they take it off when they don't. You either support us or you don't. Like Lieutenant Dan, he doesn't want to be a veteran. Fine. He's excommunicado. He's excommunicated. He ain't a veteran no more. He didn't serve. He lost, yeah, Lieutenant Blue Falcon. To me, he lost his leg in a Oreo eating contest. I don't know, but not due to veteran stuff. He doesn't want to be a veteran. He doesn't have to be. But I'm not trying to stir up everybody for the fact that, you know, like, oh my gosh, they're coming to take our benefits, but they kind of are. If you looked back a year ago, somebody would have lost their career over suggesting this stuff, but now it's okay. And we're just one step closer to them actualizing it. And look, I'm going to be honest with you here. This is not a red versus blue thing, because that's a trap to me. That's a trap. This is a bad person versus good person thing. If you want to take stuff from the veterans, from disabled veterans, you are a bad person. And that might be a little stretch. Okay, that might be a little bit too far in some people's eyes. But tell me where that's a good thing for America. Tell me where it's a good thing for America to take away from their veterans, those that have sacrificed the most, those that have put the most on the line for their country. I can't with it. I can't. And I know I get pretty preachy with that, and I get pretty ranty with it. And I know it's not some people's take on it. But to me, it's a trap to play one group against the other to divide us. And I think that we need to stop being divided. I think if you classify yourself as a veteran, then come on in. Everybody's welcome. I don't care what you are. But we need to come together, guys. This is too much, too soon, too focused to be a coincidence. Somebody's chipping away at something. They just keep doing this chipping away thing where they're probing to see what we will accept. And I, like every one of my brothers and sisters in arms, I don't care what you were. You know, it's like, to me, it's bar fight rules. If I saw a different service member getting ready to get jumped, me and my battles were standing up. I didn't care. Could have even been the Coast Guard. But I don't know. They're pitting everybody against everybody. They're throwing stuff against the wall, D's, to see what sticks. And I don't like it. Like, I can have a disagreement with somebody on a professional and like an intellectual level. I could say, look, I don't agree with you on this topic. However, when it comes to this one topic of veterans, we are all united. We need them to get that fear again, to leave us alone. Right? Like, we need to be left alone. They need to honor and respect us. And if they do honor and respect us, then they need to leave us alone. I don't know. Like, I am very disappointed. I think that's probably the best way. I'm disappointed in our lawmakers that there is so much not going on that they have the time to focus on trying to take away our benefits, to call us liars, to call us thieves, to disparage us time and time again. all of these people, that there's nothing else going on. Or the fact that, look, we got, you know what, in order to pay for this nice thing for these poor disabled veterans, we've got to take away from these other disabled veterans to get it. There's no other place for that money to come from? You're telling me there's no other place? There's no other place for that money. I don't, look, Patrick, that's a nice statement. But I'm not qualified. There are other people that are better qualified for that. And I would gladly sidestep. Even if they gave me the job, I'd gladly sidestep, because you know what? We need a person in there that can do the job. Right? Like the best fit. The best and the brightest. We need competency, and not just like a resume. I need somebody that can walk the walk in there. And not just in the VA, but in other sections too. I don't know. I'm not being political or nothing like that. I'm just saying, like, it really pisses me off. Like, I look around and I see, like, whenever I go down, I have I get a cup of coffee or something like that, or get coffee delivered, and the price goes up, and it's keeping going up. And, everything costs more, in my opinion, where I live. Might not be for everybody. Maybe everybody's paying, like 12 cents a gallon for gas or something like that. Maybe you live there. Who knows? But it's harder and harder, in my opinion, to live every single day financially. And they want to take more and take more. And I get it. Like, it's not an endless supply of money, but could you not take this money from somewhere else? Like, if you needed to pay for something, why is it that we can, like, it's not like, and I said this somewhere, it's not like they cancel, like, hey, look, we're going to give the service members a 1.2% pay raise. Oops, we can't afford to buy that new aircraft carrier now. This is the only group, the only time that I've ever heard that we need to, in order to pay for this, we've got to cut something. What are you talking about? There's a new fighter jet contract, and we're going to do this other thing. Where do they get the money for that stuff from? Yeah, the printer goes brrr. Like, it didn't wrong. I don't know. So yeah, so on that video, I was kind of, it seemed benign to me at first, but can you imagine, like, think about this for a second. Can you imagine being those two, I want to say service members, because I came in kind of late to the broadcast for it, but could you imagine being the people that are named for that bill? I wouldn't want my name associated with something that put hardship onto other veterans. Can you imagine that? Like, whoever slammed that Section 3 in there should be ashamed of themselves. Because I would be mortified if my name was attached to a bill that took things away from other veterans. I would be absolutely mortified. All right. Roy, I'm going to ask you to not do that. Okay. Just for the sake of, that has no bearing on anything. And I don't like that level of discrimination. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to stop doing that, Roy. So nothing. I don't like Lieutenant Dan said his words. He said his piece. He did his stuff. He can be the victim of my outrage because he doesn't want to be a veteran. But let's not make any attacks against race, ethnicity, or anything like that on here, okay? Because my message just less than 5 minutes ago was that we all have to come together, okay? Let's not be divisive. Let's not do that, okay? So I know that sometimes things can get heated. I get heated sometimes too. But let's not take it to a dark place, okay? Moving forward. But anyway, we're at an hour and 35 minutes. Does let me see if there's any of these additional things. Okay, certified barn door. Does GERD with IBS only go off of clinical evidence? Uh, GERD now is locked to clinical evidence. IBS is actually more subjective because there's no way to measure painful bowel movements, right? Like there's no way to measure that. There's no way to really track diagnostically that you have changes in stool form or frequency or something like that. So IBS is more of a testimonial, but what they like to see is they like to see that you've had a significant amount of time of reporting these symptoms, so it's not acute or transitory, it's chronic in nature. And 6 months is about the litmus test for what chronic looks like in a condition. But yeah. And so I moved you guys might have seen I talked about doing the ankle video. I moved it to tomorrow just because there was way too much to kind of put out for today. So the ankle video will be coming out tomorrow. You know what's funny? You know what's funny is that I was just thinking about that. I'm like, man, I'm at 7,600 subscribers. Wow. And then I look around at some people that have 20,000 or something, and it just weirds me out that I'm like, how do you have 20,000 and you're not even really saying anything that meets. I guess it's that thing where versus like I'm kind of more TED talky than I'm not entertainment based. I'm the least entertainment based of a lot of my peers. Um, uh, I do. I do. I actually do recommend keeping a log because that way, if you do get it service connected, you can also say what injured you. Also report what kind of injured you, like what injuries you had from the fall, because those can be secondary if the dizziness gets service connected. Or if like the dizziness is due to Meniere's or something like that. But keep in mind that if you're going for vertigo, technically, for the most part, it can only be directly service connected. So it's very hard to get secondary to something else. And I understand that you find my videos entertaining, but they're not an entertainment type thing. It's not like I go, the top 5 so-and-so to so-and-so. And even though I did do a 5 reasons why video recently, I don't do like the top 5, like I don't do clickbait stuff. And I consider clickbait stuff to be entertainment more than I do anything else. Let me see here. Honestly, let me. I did notice that they never specified what the fee was. Oh, you mean in that thing? It's just the closing costs and whatnot. It's whatever the fees are for the closing costs on both the buyer and the seller. Typically, they're I don't know. What is that, Mr. Ray? What does that even mean? Sometimes you guys say weird stuff. Your thumbnails need to be more. Oh, okay. I know what you're talking about. I get that, but I'm just kind of an average guy. Like, I don't know if people want to do thumbnails for it. I don't know if you guys want to do the thumbnails. I don't know. Like, but I know that my thumbnails are not anything to write home about, but it's because I'm more content than I am fluff and flair. And I'm probably suffering because of that. But then again, I'm more wanting to put the content out. So I hope that people watch, and if they watch a video and they like the video and they see that, if something that I say helps them in any way, shape, or form, I hope that they pass it on. But, yeah. And I mean, I get a lot of clicks on the videos. I mean, like it does go through. Let me see here. Would you rather have 20,000 subs from bots or 7,000 others from people who actually benefit from your content? Yeah. I mean, that's kind of where we're at. Yeah. And yeah, the TED Talk style, I don't know. And I try not to swear. And I'm sorry that I swore tonight. Actually, in my real life, I swear like a sailor. So you do not know how much self control I have to have, or how many times I've got to edit a video. Uh, oh man, Meniere's Vertigo falls under the Meniere's category, so I mean that might be fine. That might be fine. Um, and this is another thing where I keep it the same because I don't. It has to do with my time at the VHA, in which keeping things the same or similar, like similar structure, is comforting to a lot of people. So that's why I don't change it up and go crazy. But I also refuse to, on my thumbnails, I refuse to do the clickbaity nonsense. Like I tried to not clickbait you guys too much with this video tonight. Would you say that I clickbaited you? Would you say that the evidence that I put out with the changes to the M21? I mean, to me, there was meat on that bone, right? Like that's a big deal for a lot of veterans that they were going to. Oh my God. Oh, that hurts. That's right in the junk. That's right in the junk. That is right in the junk. That hurts. I'm gonna take a minute. That yeah. Yeah. That got me in the pride. Ah. Well, yeah, and I'm a simple man. Like yeah, the straight to the point. I'm a simple man. I don't know. I don't want to be flashy. I want to put the time in the research of the video and not in the editing. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Hey Raider, how much can I rely on AI chat GPT to help me write my claims? Not at all. Not at all. ATC, let me ask you this. How much can you rely on your military leadership to let you down? That's about as much the same. How much you can rely on your military leadership is about how much you can rely on chat GPT or any of the other chatbots. Because here's the problem, okay? Having them organize your evidence into a more cohesive format, that's what AI is for. Having them write your claim for you or write a medical nexus for you is not ideal because the computer cannot understand the conflicting portions of the M21 or the 38 CFR. Because there's so many different conflicting or there's so many different use case situations where it's like there's exceptions to the rules that are not overtly said how you weigh them out, AI cannot handle that. So AI will typically give you the wrong answer. Yeah. And so it's good at organizing your evidence, but it's not good at navigating the different CFRs to make sure that you're falling within the lines. No, and there's a few of us I like that's why I like both the salties, the salty old Marine and the salty Marine, is because we kind of just say what we need to say and we don't do it in a way that's disingenuous. And I've been looking for people to kind of, grow with. And I like them because they're not trying to, I don't know, do this for money and sell out. Like I could have sold out. I mean, yeah, can I sell out? Yes. I mean, quite easily. I'm sure it'd probably be very impressive. And I just don't want to. I mean, I've noted it makes me actually physically ill to think about doing that. And I hate the fact that I've got to, that you guys give me money, but you do. I don't know. You help the channel, and if anything, you're helping the dog fund. These poor little babies over here, they just have to. Like one of them's chewing on a Kong right now, filled with frozen peanut butter. Um, and your money goes to that frozen peanut butter. And that's Rudy. That's actually it. Like I've been given some offers, and I'm not. I have no plans to. I have no plans to change. I'll be honest with you. I just I want to be able to talk to people that are about my same importance level type thing, in terms of subscribers and whatnot. And I want to try to just talk about veterans things, get the point out there, because one of the things I said earlier on was I don't need to be popular. I don't need to be successful in this. I just want to put the information out there to hopefully work myself out of a job. I want everybody to be on the same page. I want them to have the information that I have. I want them to have my understanding. Okay, actually, hold on. Yeah, I take a little bit of that back. I will sell out for coffee sponsorship. That's non-negotiable. That and you can hate me, you can hate me all you want, but I will sell out for coffee. I will sell out for coffee. I will do that. And you can think little of me, and that is fine. I have no shame in that game. But if it's like claim related, no, I'm not doing that. And thank you, Salty. I agree that they kind of do establish me as a brand. But my little puppies are going to need to be going out soon. But we'll be doing the normal live stream on Saturday. So I'll try to do a couple more kind of like Q&A videos based upon stuff. Yeah. And then if we can, my soul is easily sold for coffee. I am a coffee nut, guys. Like I am such a coffee nut. I am a coffee weirdo. I love coffee. Like I'm gonna actually go make a cup of coffee. I'm like one of the weird people where I could drink coffee before going to bed and it wouldn't matter. I kind of limit myself to 3 cups at most a day. I know that that's probably a lot, but they're not big cups. But I am just weird about that. So I'm not discriminatory. I do not care about the type of coffee. I just love coffee. And then what else? What else? What else? Oh, the BDD claims. So those BDD changes that I showed you guys that happened, I'm going to be going through those tonight, and I'll probably do a video tomorrow. I'm going to do some live Q&As, video responses, try to keep up on that. I am going to make an announcement, though. I'm probably going to be shutting down the email just because I cannot get to them. I do not have time, and I have to. I know that sucks, but I physically can't do it. And oftentimes I can't I honestly can't answer the questions because it says your name on it. Now, sometimes like I understand that GC Jarhead is not his name. I understand that maybe Bob Zernkel is or isn't your name. I don't know. Mr. Ray, hard for me to tell who Mr. Ray is. But when you guys tell me what your name is, I can't help you. Because then I know. And I shouldn't know. No, we should not be sending me P.O. Box goodies. No, we should not be doing that. That is not a thing. There are no P.O. Box things. And I'll be honest with you, if all I ever have, like honestly, if all I ever have is 7,600 subscribers, I'm happy. This is like my kids, I've kind of impressed my children, which makes me happy with the ability to put out some kind of educational material that people like and they, watch and they listen to and they appear to actually really like it. So for me, this experiment has been successful. That good information and people like it. So 7,600 subscribers is all I ever need. Now, would it be nice to get to 100K? Yeah. Just to get that stupid little YouTube play button? Yes. But I don't have to. What did get a PO box? No, I'm not getting a PO box. No. Do you know why? Do you know why I will never get a PO box for this channel? Is because if I did that, I would be weirded out not by the nice things that people do, but by the bad things that people would do. There's some truly weird fa la la people out there that will do weird stuff. Like send me a bag of dog poop or something. Like just ooh. No, I don't know. But anyway, guys, so let me summarize kind of what we talked about tonight. We've had a recent change. They have moved some of the PACT Act SOP over to the veteran facing thing. This is a very awesome thing. We can now hold them accountable, more accountable for higher level reviews for specific TERA exposures. When examiners do that for the whole total sum of exposures in the Middle East or Southwest Asia thing that they like to do, that blanket statement that they like to do, you can hold them accountable to it. Okay. Yeah, it does. And then we talked about the fact that there's 3 new locations for presumptive location-based exposures. Not service connection, but the fact that the VA will concede that if you were at that place at that time, you were exposed to those chemicals. So that's a great thing. We talked about how Lieutenant Dan sucks and he can fall down all the stairs. We talked about how how much disdain I have for the House Bill 6047. We also talked about the fact that I will be doing videos tomorrow for the BDD claim changes for exams and how things are claimed. I'm going to be putting out a video on the ankles tomorrow. Sorry, I'm thinking in my head right now. And then we've got the live stream coming up Saturday. And I also notified you guys that I'm going to be kind of discontinuing the email just because I can't get to it. That is what do you mean new SOP go into place? What do you mean by that? Because typically the SOP for the PACT Act was a temporary thing. It was never meant to be this like backdoor thing that was hidden from people. It was meant to be like when they make major changes to the M21 manual like that, they typically have to kind of like vet out what their final answer is going to be on how the VA interprets the PACT Act. They haven't come there yet, but whenever they get their final, like this is okay, we all are in agreement that this is how this works. That's when they shift those portions over to the M21 manual, and then it stops being PACT Act SOP. Do you mean like when does the new stuff that I talked about tonight go into effect? That's today. It went into effect today. I'm looking for veteran-owned companies. I mean, I wish that the VA did more for. That's another video I'm going to put out in the future, and I've got to sneeze. I want the VA to do. If I could wave a magic wand and in 6 months make a change, one of the things, and it's not like a major change, but it's just one of those things where I'm like, where could benefits be expanded to? I think that benefits could be expanded to small businesses owned by veterans. I really wish that they would help us own small businesses. And I wish they would let me. I wish, give me your coffee. Give me your coffee. Let me have your coffee. And then I'm also thinking about, like, I did the video. Gosh, what am I trying to say here? I wish they would do more with just businesses for veterans, right? If you want us to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, a lot of the times, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of the times, a lot of us veterans cannot work with other people unless we're in charge. So it's due to our disabilities, it's due to our mental health. Like, I can't work for another person, under another person. It's got to be very specific, because looking at this. Wow, that is oddly specific. Red tail hawk. I'm going to just, we're going to entertain this for a second. Thoughts on how the VA evaluates claims for Marine security guards exposed to burn pits in Africa when the post isn't on the PACT Act list? Is service connection still possible? Yes. And that's the stuff that we went over tonight, is how you're going to go about certifying it, because it would be based upon your guard duty, your guard duties and the burn pits at your location. You'd have to prove that there were burn pits there. And if you can, you'd have to show you're there. Oh, I can't be okay. So it has to be, that's how you're going to do it. And it would be due to TERA. So it'd be toxic exposures, or the EHON or E. Yeah, geez. The EMOH. Gosh, I can't even speak. The EMOHs, the environmental, military, occupational hazards. So it is possible, yes. But yeah, that's about all I got for you guys tonight. I just wanted to do the live stream. Like I said, it's a big deal. I'm happy about a lot of these changes. I'm not so happy about the MOS related changes. We still have a long way to go with that, but definitely something to look forward to. How many years can BBA contract providers keep uncashed veteran mileage checks for you? I don't know. Oh my gosh, like, that's going to be the hill to, like, that's so frustrating. That right there is so frustrating. I can't even talk about it. But guys, that's about all I got for you tonight. I will see you guys on Saturday. I will be putting out videos, like I said. But And once again, if you haven't already done so, go over to the Salty Marine, the Salty Old Marines channels, give them a like, give them a subscribe. They're putting out good content, pro veteran content. I'm going to support every day of the week. Okay. If you're pro money, pro weird stuff, I might not be, but I want to see pro veteran content. Okay. But anyway, guys, and the Civ Div. Well, I mean, look, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I like the Civ Div, but he's got 80-something thousand subscribers. I don't think I'm going to push anyone towards his camp. I think he could push people towards my camp. But I like some of his stuff too. I mean, it's good. I like, anybody that's pro veteran. I like Veterans Info Tap. It appears to be pro veteran. I like the Civ Div appears to be pro veteran. I like I said, the Salties. I'm flirting with liking some other people, but I haven't seen too much of their stuff. I even like smaller guys. Like, I don't necessarily have to like the people that have more subscribers than me, hoping that they'll promote me or anything like that. Like, I like I don't want to say their names. Oh no. He's here. He's here in the background, damn it. He's here in the background. Oh man. Oh no. Hey, Mr. Civ Div. Nice to see you here. Hopefully I said nice things about you. No, but yeah, no, you do always give me a shout out. I appreciate that. I do. And if you haven't subscribed to the Civ Div, go over to him. And I mean, I get it. Everybody that's pro veteran, I can get behind. And I really do mean that. Like, but there are some people out there that are not pro veteran, and because my stance is pro veteran is patriotic, pro veteran is pro American, and if you're not pro American or pro veteran, then I don't want to be associated with you. So it is very nice to have the Civ Div. My gosh. Wait a minute. I gotta get that on the thing. So my daughter literally just pooped on the carpet, so I have to go. Not a joke. Well, good luck with that, sir. Good luck with that. But yeah, poop. Yeah, poop is service connectable. It is true. But anyway, well, no, and I lurk in other people's. I watch other people's stuff. I do, and I comment on their stuff. I watch like I was watching the Civ Divs live stream today, and if he wasn't doing that live stream about that House Bill 6047 thing, I wouldn't have known about it because I'm not I'm not looking that way. So that's why I appreciate his content, is because he's looking at both the veteran stuff, but he's also looking at that legislative side. I don't have time to do that. I'm looking at the how things are rated side. So, but anyway, guys, I do have to go. My dogs are about ready to poop on the floor. So me and the Civ Div have something in common currently. So I have to go. But have a wonderful night. Thank you all for being wonderful veterans. Merry Christmas. And hey, look, it's time. It's getting towards that time to start doing buddy checks. This is very important to me. Go out and connect with your buddies for Christmas, okay? New Year's, Christmas, do it, guys. I mean it. I know the poop stuff is important, but so is checking on your battles. So is checking on your buddies. We got to get through this year together. Have a good night, everyone. Raider out.